You're watching a Formula One race. The cars look faster than ever. The technology is insane, but somehow it feels boring. No wheel-to-wheel battles. No last lap drama. Just cars stuck in line. And here's the shocking part: it's not the drivers. It's not even the teams. It's a rule. A single Formula One regulation that's quietly killing the excitement of racing. And by the end of this video, you'll see exactly how this one rule changed everything and why fixing it might be harder than anyone thinks. The rule that changed everything in F1. When people talk about why F1 racing is less exciting now, they usually blame drivers or strategy. But the real issue goes deeper. Modern Formula One is built around aerodynamics, how air flows over the car. And here's the problem: the FIA regulations push teams to design cars that rely heavily on clean air. That means when a car is behind another, it loses performance. This is what fans call the dirty air problem. And it's the core reason overtaking has become so difficult in Formula One. What is dirty air in Formula One? Let's break this down simply. Imagine riding a bicycle. When you're alone, it's smooth, easy, predictable. But now imagine riding directly behind a truck. Suddenly the air is chaotic, turbulent, unstable. That's exactly what happens in F1. When a leading car slices through the air, it leaves behind disturbed airflow, dirty air. And when another car enters that zone, it loses grip. It loses downforce. It loses control. And most importantly, it loses the ability to overtake. Why overtaking became so hard in F1. Now this next part might surprise you. F1 cars are actually designed to stick to the track using downforce. More downforce means more grip and faster cornering. But that downforce depends on smooth airflow. So when a car enters dirty air, it loses up to 30–40% of its aerodynamic efficiency. Think about that. You're chasing another driver, but the closer you get, the slower you become. It's like trying to win a race where catching up punishes you. And this is exactly why modern Formula One races often turn into processions. The aerodynamics arms race. But here's where things get interesting. Teams didn't accidentally create this problem. They were pushed into it. Formula One regulations encourage teams to maximize aerodynamic performance. And teams did what they always do: they pushed it to the extreme. Complex wings, intricate floor designs, highly sensitive airflow systems. The result? Cars that are insanely fast but incredibly fragile in traffic. So while the technology improved, the racing got worse. The FIA tried to fix it, but did it work? Now you might be thinking, didn't Formula One already fix this? In 2022, the FIA introduced new regulations specifically to reduce dirty air. The goal was simple: make cars easier to follow and overtake. They introduced ground effect cars, simplified aerodynamics, less reliance on complex wings. And at first, it worked. Drivers could follow closer. Battles improved. But then something happened. Teams adapted. Again. They found ways to exploit the new rules. And slowly the dirty air problem started creeping back. The cost cap twist nobody talks about. And this is where most people make a mistake. They think aerodynamics is the only issue. But there's another regulation quietly affecting racing: the F1 cost cap. The cost cap limits how much teams can spend. Sounds fair, right? But here's the unintended consequence. Big teams can no longer outdevelop others mid-season. So if one team starts ahead, they stay ahead. Dominance becomes harder to break. And when one team dominates, races become predictable. And predictable races kill excitement. Why modern F1 feels less exciting? Let's connect the dots. Dirty air makes overtaking difficult. Aerodynamic rules make cars sensitive to turbulence. Cost cap limits development changes. Put it all together, and you get races where cars struggle to follow each other. Overtakes are rare. The fastest team stays ahead all season. And suddenly, Formula One feels less like a battle and more like a parade. The balance problem in Formula One. Here's the real challenge. Formula One has always been about two things: engineering and racing. But right now, the balance is off. The sport leans heavily toward engineering perfection instead of wheel-to-wheel action. And that's why fans are divided. Some love the technical brilliance. Others miss the raw racing. Because at the end of the day, people don't tune in for airflow efficiency. They tune in for battles. Can F1 fix this regulation problem? Now this is the big question. Can Formula One fix the regulation that's ruining racing? The answer is yes. But it's complicated. Reducing dirty air means limiting aerodynamic complexity. But limiting complexity reduces innovation. And innovation is what makes F1 fun. So the FIA is stuck. Push too far toward racing and you lose engineering brilliance. Push too far toward engineering and you lose excitement. Finding that balance? That's the hardest challenge in modern Formula One. The future of Formula One racing. But here's the hopeful part. Formula One knows there's a problem. New regulation changes are already being planned. More adjustments to aerodynamics. More tweaks to improve overtaking. And possibly a future where cars can fight wheel-to-wheel again. Because without that, no matter how fast the cars get, the sport risks losing what made it special in the first place. So remember that boring race you watched at the start? It wasn't the drivers holding back. It wasn't a lack of skill. It was a regulation shaping every move on track. And until that changes, Formula One will keep fighting its own design. If this helped you understand why F1 racing feels different today, then you'll definitely want to watch the next video where we break down how one team exploited these rules to dominate the entire sport. And if you enjoy deep dives like this, hit like, subscribe, and stick around because the world of Formula One is way more complicated than it looks.